Dan, do you remember the first time you sat in a wheelchair?
Yeah, I remember that. It was, I think it was before I lost my leg.
Yeah, I was looking down the centre of my tibia at one point going, I think this is gone.
I had a PICC line, I was on antibiotics 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we ended up sitting down with the doctor and we talked about it and that we could keep going with trying to fight the infection or we could consider amputation. And I said, oh, give me a week and I'll have a think about it. And then came back in a week and I said, let's do it. Let's amputate.
The changing of sunlight. Light, reflections of my life. Oh, how they fill my eyes.
I know I thought about it pretty hard. Sometimes you have moments you're like, oh, what would life have been like if I kept fighting it? But I suppose you can't dwell on those thoughts. You just gotta back yourself and stick with those decisions and move on.
Yeah, my daughter and my son were in the car behind me, so they pulled up and when my daughter came over I said to her, I think it's gone this time, bub. I'd had an accident previous to that a long time ago and I'd injured my leg, which I managed to keep it luckily. But yeah, when I was looking down the centre of my tibia, I sort of went, yeah, this is pretty serious. I woke up in ICU a couple of days later. The doctor was with me on the way down from ICU down to the ward and he said, look, we've got to have a chat. And I said to him, just take it. I knew what he was referring to about the chat and he said, no, we've got to talk about this and tell you your options. I said, I don't want the leg, just take it. Family was the main focus. My kids helped me get through it. I want to inspire them. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to know that Dad didn't give up in the harder times. You know, when things got tough, that their dad didn't quit.
Was there a period though when you felt like you were really struggling?
I did, yeah. But once I started playing wheelchair sport, that gave me a sense of purpose again. The bond you get from the guys who are in the same boat, you know, other guys are amputees, paraplegics, the bond that you get with those guys, playing with them, really brings you out of your shell and gives you something to focus on.
Wheelchair Rugby League is like for like. We do the same drills, we do the same drop unders, we do the same long passes, everything as well. You've got to hit the same sort of holes, you've got to be able to push through the line. You know, that contact when you very first hit the line, you get that body jolt. The chair has to hit to be able to reach to get the tags or to get through the line to draw and pass. The contact in the game is almost exactly the same. Small car crashes, basically.
Everyone's looking for a favourable bounce, but it's a challenging year ahead and the stakes are high. And for some, the window of opportunity is diminishing.
I'd always wanted, you know, as a kid, you always want to, you know, represent your state. You see the guys in the early days of Origin and Australian games, and you always want to be a part of that, but it doesn't always work out for everyone. The focus on footy is always something that I look forward to, and it gets me through some of the darker times.
As soon as you hear that person behind you, I've got your back, I've got your back, you got to have that full trust, because then that,
The City Country game is just a few weeks away, and from that will come the State of Origin side for the big interstate clash between Queensland and New South Wales.
To put on the Queensland jersey that first time round, playing as an actual rugby league team, was phenomenal. It was probably the proudest moment I've had.
Young Jack Kruger is hoping to make the Queensland side, but he's currently out with an injury. The best he can do for the moment is support his sister.
If you hit them on the angle, they're going to bounce off or flip out and you can keep going through.
While Queensland are chasing 5 wins in a row, the players are chasing an Australian jersey, hoping to take on England in a highly anticipated Test series later in the year. And then there's the ultimate prize up for grabs, when Australia hosts the World Cup of Wheelchair Rugby League next year. This will coincide with the NRL World Cup and the opportunity to showcase the wheelchair game to a captive audience. For a player like Pete, who's approaching the back end of his career, it's about holding on for one last hurrah.
I just focus on the present, and you know, I focus on doing what I can to better the game of Wheelchair Rugby League and further the Queensland team. I'm coming close to retirement, so I'm going to have to find something else to focus on.
Bill and I separated.
Yeah.
Because we need to defend their kick, so they're gonna kick early.
Yeah.
They have a lot of speed.
For Dan, it's not about age slowing him down, but his body breaking down. Can he physically keep up the pace and stay in the race to win that Australian jersey?
Yeah, it can be injuries, fingers, elbows, wrists, shoulders. They're probably the main ones. Back and hips. Growing up with a disability, you know, never got any preferential treatment or anything like that. I was just one of the kids, and Mum said, you can go out there and give it your best and get up and don't give up.
Then there's Bailey, the whiz kid from the country, whose career is clearly on the way up.
And to go out there and represent my state in a sport that I love, with the background with my old boy and all the rest of it, like to go out there and do that and, you know, do the best I can, it's ridiculous.
Thank you.
I've kind of just learnt to navigate what I get given and roll with the things I have to do, and always, you know, if I ever have a down moment, I go, it could be worse. And that's kind of the way I get through myself, is that thinking, you know, I have it pretty lucky and there are worse situations out there, and that kind of motivates me to keep going.
Do you ever say, why me?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Do I ever get answers? No, but you know, come to accept that there's, you know, it's the way the cookie crumbles, and we kind of just have to roll with it.
Sarah has lived her life with cerebral palsy and has endured many operations over the years, including having both legs broken and rotated out. For her, wheelchair rugby league has been life-changing.
For me, it was like social. That's why I was there, to be out and about and talk to people who aren't just family and do something, and it was nice to do something I'd never done before.
Their mother, Michelle, she's seen I think it was on the council's program of what's going on in the area, and it said about her come and try for Wheelchair Rugby League, and we thought, well, I'm the only driver in our family, so they could never all play a different sport, so we thought it was something they could all do. We went down and gave it a go.
At first, so hard to manoeuvre and move in a chair, and it's different from going from running to actually now using your arms to move. It's a whole different game.
Oh, some people were shocked at first, especially when they Google it and they'd watch YouTube videos and they'd go, "You do that?" And I was like, "Yeah." How are you going to kick it? Like high, low?
No, I'm gonna keep the first one low. I'm gonna try and get it to grab her along.
It was odd at first, but then I was like, "Hey, even playing field." I'm very competitive when it comes to me and my brother especially, so it was nice to feel on an even playing field, especially because they didn't exactly know how to navigate a wheelchair and I did, and so I had the one up on them, and that felt pretty good.
It feels good because I get to play alongside my family, alongside Jack and that. It's very inclusive and very special.
Oh, she thoroughly enjoys it. Like, she just gets right into it, and she can give a good hit.
Hey Jack, is that embarrassing?
Typical brother and sister, how they can fight at home. They can fight just the same on the court too.
So it's tough. Yeah. It's real tough on your body. Like last year, I fractured multiple ribs playing. I've had the odd dislocated finger, concussions.
Listen to me.
Yeah, I know.
You go for the post, because I'll go between them.
Yeah.
Which leaves Dan free. All right?
Go. Let's do it again. You hit.
First thing you want to do, you get that ball, you find that gap, you're hitting in between, and you're just leaning back and hoping you don't go out flying, especially hitting people like Pete. When you've got people with no legs out here outperforming us who have nothing wrong with us, we've got every limb, every muscle, there's no reason we should be out there playing bad, and you've got people like them smoking us. It's crazy.
Jeff is always working on repairing or modifying an old chair to keep the family rolling and able to take the hits. A new performance wheelchair is simply out of the question.
You're looking over $3,000 for two wheels. Like, the cost of a brand new chair is something like around that $15,000.
And he not only works on his family's chairs, he's also the mechanic for the South East Queensland teams.
They're all a great bunch of guys, and if I can help them stay out there on the court and not miss any game time, then yeah, that's what I do. I tried it once or twice when we first went, and things hurt that you wouldn't think would hurt when you get out of the chair.
Oh, that's the hardest bit. Oh.
And for them to back it up every week and get out there and play at the higher levels and that, it's unbelievable what they put their bodies through to do it.
Very powerful in when people hit you, falling out of the chair and everything.
How does it feel when you whack someone that you know you played a good game?
It feels good to know that you get them out of the chair and on the floor.
Sarah's struggling at the moment to play competitively, but the sport still keeps the family connected.
It's sort of been a shame because she hurt her shoulder a little while ago, so she hasn't been able to get in and really have a good push in the chair and that, so she hasn't played for a little while now, but she's still got that interest, so when we do things, she might do scoring or keeps statistics and that sort of stuff.
How was start?
Tiring. But okay.
Learn anything new, but
For the parts I paid attention.
I still I watch and I score, but it's one thing to be scoring and be behind a bench, but it's another thing to be out there and actually playing. And so I'm not gonna lie, I do get a tad bit jealous that they're playing and I'm not, but I just have to keep reminding myself that I'm not sitting out because I want to sit out, it's because I have to. Because if I'm not careful, I could make my injury worse. So I just gotta let time take its course and I'll get back out there someday.
Yeah, she's still got that involvement in it. And yeah, hopefully she's back in a chair now, just doing a little bit of light stuff and a bit of basketball and that. But yeah, hopefully she'll get back in next year and start giving it another go.
I'd say it's brought us all closer. We've all got something to be mutually bond over now, and we've all gone through the experience. We've all hopped in a chair, we've all had a push, we've all had to sit there and work on the chairs over time, and we've been there from day one as a family, so yeah.
Yeah, I love the hit-ups. Yeah, one thing we're doing offensively that I like is the hit-ups. We're not trying to push something stupid. And the moment we do push something stupid, what happens? Like our defense.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk between us, but there's a bit of banter goes on between both teams as well.
And he goes, am I only with 32?
It just feels like a game of rugby league. But instead of flesh on flesh, it's metal on metal. The metal on metal contact is what draws a lot of people to the game.
The City Country clash was dominated by the Townsville contingent representing country, with Bailey simply too fast and too skillful.
I don't really like harping on about my game too much. I just go out there and do my job. That's what I'm there to do.
But there are plenty who will harp on about his game, and not just about how brilliant he is, but why an able-bodied athlete is choosing to play a wheelchair game and mixing it with disabled athletes.
When I was at the World Cup over in the UK, I copped a lot of flack online, on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. I had, blokes messaging me and having a crack at me because they just didn't understand. Like people calling me a fraud and all the rest of it, like I shouldn't be in the wheelchair and all the rest of it. But, it takes 2 seconds to read about a game and actually understand why people are out there that are able-bodied.
We wouldn't have a game of wheelchair rugby league if it wasn't for the able-bodied people that play the game with us. Most of the able-bodied people that play the game come from, families that have been affected by accidents. So Bailey McKenna, one of our teammates, his dad Darren McKenna as an amputee. He played basketball with his dad all through his younger years. He's probably Australia's best player at the moment.
It's a massive thing for us, for me and my dad. Before his accident, when he had 2 legs and whatever, he would always go to work at 4 o'clock in the morning and not come home until 6 o'clock. But he'd always find the time to kick a footy round with me. Always find the time. And when he had the accident, it kind of took it away from us.
That's the big surprise with it, is when you look at all the other Paralympic sports, so being a part of the Paralympic movement, you have to be disabled, and generally pretty significantly disabled to play in the sport. Whereas wheelchair rugby league, it's about its inclusivity and you don't have to be disabled. Everyone can play right through to representing their country.
Jack Brown, again golden boot, former world's best player. His brother Harry's a double amputee and he again was playing with his brother. So these people help us create the game to where it is now. Yeah, this is a wheelchair sport, it's not a disability sport, so it's a game played in wheelchairs. So it's open to all and that's what makes this game so great.
Your dad's accident, Bailey, what was that about, mate?
It was a road train accident.
How old were you at the time?
It was May 2006, so I was still only 5. I had to make sure my old boy knew that, you know, I was his little sidekick, I was his offsider, and I had his back. You know, he was coming down to Sydney and going down to Brisbane for operations and stuff like that, and I was by his side the whole time.
Did you understand, you know, how much he was relying on you?
I didn't know he was that reliant on me until my 21st birthday. It was just normal for me to be by his side all the time.
So why your 21st birthday?
He had a speech at my 21st and he told everyone, all my close friends and all my family and stuff that came to my birthday, he had a speech in front of everyone and yeah, he just said to everyone how much, you know, I made his life a little bit easier. He used to call me his left leg all the time because, you know, that was just me. That was who I was, and that's what he needed me to do. Every time I roll over that stripe and go under the pitch, he's right next to me. Yeah, it's a pretty surreal feeling.
Yeah, our own right, I think it's just as tough. It's fast, it's hard, it's everything the NRL is. It's just in a wheelchair.
5.5. Alright. Okay, I'll count you down.
I remember when I first got my Queensland jersey, that was against England for an Ashes tour. It was next level. It was a maroon jersey from Rebel Sport because that's where the game was at that point.
Ready, set, go! Let's break the 5-second bar.
To put on the Queensland jersey that first time round, playing as an actual rugby league team, was phenomenal. It was probably the proudest moment I've had.
Go!
And we went on for the first time to beat New South Wales that year, and that was even a bigger achievement because New South Wales had beaten us. You know, they were beating us by 100-0.
Yeah, Dazza getting to come try to open Towns will really kick things off.
That was 2017 or before?
2016, yeah.
I suppose for me it was just watching it with my family as a kid. So we're always big on, you know, going for Queensland and watching them play every year. And my parents used to always get people around and get together and watch it. And you always have that one family friend who's a Blues supporter, so you give him a bit of stick and have a laugh, you know.
Were you playing sports before that?
I was playing running game. Yeah, for Townsville Brothers for 10 years before this. In the middle, number 9.
You have to be able to rely on your mate. Just like the running game, you have to be able to trust that they're going to be there, and they need to be able to trust you to be there as well.
While he would make the squad, Jack would miss out on the Queensland team for Origin.
So Queensland this year selected a 10-man squad because then we can still be doing our 5-on-5 training. So I still got to train and do all the experiences and connect with everyone and travel and that. But yeah, unfortunately I was cut or whatever and that. So I won't be going to Sydney to play the game at this point. But yeah, so not a great feeling, but gives me another year to hope for and that, work hard and yeah, see where I can go.
I still remember the first game of Origin way back in 1980, and I remember the following years where I used to jump the fence to get into Lang Park to watch the Origins. So
there was no need to jump the fence today, as the team was invited to watch the Queensland Origin boys train and perhaps get some photos and media afterwards. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out as planned. With the bus running late, practice delayed for over an hour, and their own training venue pre-booked, the decision was made to leave and not miss the chance to prepare for their own interstate game in the maroon jersey. So while they missed out on mixing it with their heroes, they are only too aware of the role they play in being inspirational to the young kids who look up to them.
I've got a lot of younger fans that, you know, have reached out and sent me messages, and a lot of younger people look up to me.
The smiles on their faces is always massive, especially little kids. For kids, it's like demolition derby. They just get in, they smash each other, they have a great time. So they just see a wheelchair as something fun.
Nice pass, ready?
The big thing is maybe they've got an amputee, or they've got a spinal cord, or they've got a story as to how they've got into that situation, and then comes and sees someone like Peter Arbuckle or Dan Anstey come through, and they go, well, actually, I can still play sport, I can still represent my state, I can still be a high-level rugby league player, even though I've just had this traumatic event happen to me as well.
I train at the moment 4 days a week, so I'll get up before work, I'll go to train for an hour and a half, and then I'll head off to work and do it again the next day.
So when you talk about dedication and attitude, where does Dan sit?
He's probably my best. Not too many get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 mornings a week, and drag themselves out of bed. You know, he's got about a 40-minute drive to get here, and then he's off to work every day. So, yeah, that's dedication. I can't say that I've got another athlete like that.
Did you follow rugby league as a kid?
Yeah, always did.
Did you ever get to play?
No.
Why was that?
I think it was more because of my physical disability. So born with spina bifida and struggled to keep up. You know, couldn't run fast enough, or the chances of getting injured were higher for me, I suppose. Mum said I was slow. She was like, can you hurry up? But these days she's like, can you slow down?
Here we go.
He's probably one of our best exponents of the chair, and how to manipulate the chair, how to get it moving in multiple directions quickly.
You do a lot of chair time, you do a lot of gym where you can. You want to be strong, you want to be fast, you want agility. So you do spend a lot of time in your chair.
But with just a week to go until Origin, Dan is struggling to get in and out of his chair.
Really start struggling just to get in and out of my chair. So transferring was really bad at the moment. But we've picked up the stretching, introduced some new stuff, just changed the routine a little bit.
When I first started seeing Dan, a friend of mine asked me, what's the strangest thing you can tell me about this guy? And I said, oh, probably not strange about him, but probably strange about me. I don't see a chair. And they said, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, he's in a wheelchair. I still, to this day, like 10 years later, will forget to put his chair in the back when we're going for a drive. He's like, hey, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. He's like, how can you forget? And I'm like, I just do, I don't see it.
Best friends, good mates, and they don't care that you've got your disability or whatever it is. They treat you just like one of the boys.
I love the fact that the boys can be like any normal kid and play footy with Dad. I think Georgie, he's got the skills to one day play really well, I think. And I would love nothing more for him to get to that level while Bailey McKenna is still playing.
They know that I have a wheelchair and I've only got one leg and I don't walk. They know lots of different things, but to them, I suppose, it's normal. They don't really know any different.
Unfortunately for us, this year at Kindy, our eldest son, who's 4, the kids have started picking on him because Dad's in a chair.
It was just showing up at school every day, not letting it beat me, not let those kids, other kids beat me. It's just trying to fit in just like everyone else, I suppose. That was the challenge.
He makes so many sacrifices, and I really hope that, you know, it all comes good by Sunday.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
All of a sudden the road goes left, there's a car in front of me, I had nowhere to go. So I almost lost my right leg as well. I'm lucky I didn't have anything happen to that, but that swung me round to the bull bar of the car behind, and yeah, I was looking down the centre of my tibia at one point going, I think this is gone. I didn't realise what the process was going to be moving forward. I just know that I'd made the decision to take the leg off, and whatever would be, would be. The funny thing was, my daughter, she was only really young at the time. I think she was 1 year old, not even quite 1 year old when I had the accident. And so she'd seen me in the wheelchair for most of the time, and I'd come home and I'd spend a lot of time with her. And the funny thing was, when I started walking, the first day I come home and I had my leg on, she burst out crying because she hadn't seen the dad standing up before. It's a hard place to be, and it's a hard thing to do to reach out to someone and say you need help, and I still haven't quite come to grips with that. I used sport to get me through the darkest times. You know, I've focused everything I can on sport, whether it be wheelchair basketball, whether it be the 2 Invictus Games I've competed in, whether it be the wheelchair rugby league. I joined the Army in 1989 and spent 8 years in the Army. 12 months of that was on active service in Cambodia. I think that's helped me, get through some of the darker times, some of the harder times post-accident, definitely. It's just my role to take those hit-ups and to create a bit of carnage through the ruck and give the opportunity to the fast guys out the back. Oh, look, it's fantastic. Knowing how much I love rugby league, growing up, playing it myself. One of my cousins got me into rugby league at I can't remember what age, I was about 6 or 7, I believe. I started playing back then, and I've been a part of it ever since. I don't like to think myself as an intimidator or an enforcer, but that comes with just how you play. I'll always give my 110% no matter what it is. I'll keep going until I drop. If I can be an inspiration to them by what I do and, being an enforcer type person or intimidation to put the other team on the back foot, then, that's the role I take. There's some players that will come straight for you on the way back down, and you've got to meet them with the same intensity that they're coming at you. But the short side is more effective because this guy bites into here, you'll come into here, first receiver comes in, jams the 2, and then it's a 2-on-1 to the outside. So. Yeah, look, I've learned how to deal with pain. I've learned how to endure the hard times. My mother was a single mother, never knew my father, so I never really had anyone to talk to growing up, and I suppose I've stayed that way throughout my entire life. Black dog creeps up on you now and then, and you've just got to persevere and sort of deal with it at the present. Somehow you come out the other side. There's some dark thoughts, there's some dark times, but that's one thing that keeps me on track is, knowing I'll see the boys again soon, and I'll be around them soon.
Oh, let it be, let it be,
Take the tackle.
let it be.
There's always another kick or another free tackle.
Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
We've jumped up quickly, we haven't got it back in time, and Diab just has a crack on the short side in that teacup straight away. So let's play that little bit of gamesmanship if we can.
I'd always wanted, you know, as a kid, you always want to, you know, represent your state. You see the guys in the early days of Origin and Australian games, and you always want to be a part of that.
Yeah, you feel it? Yeah. In a game, I don't like to give up. I don't like to lose, and I can see that some of that will come from, I guess, growing up with a disability, you know.
We don't kind of talk about it too much, but it's on everyone's mind that we're going out there, we're defending the Shield for the 5th year in a row. This will be 5 in a row this year.
I had my accident back in 2015, so it'll be in about 6 days' time. It'll be my 10-year anniversary from when I had my motorcycle accident and lost my leg.
When we talk about us, we talk about our team, we want to be ruthless and we don't want to keep our foot off the throat, and we want to be next level. We mean it, and there ain't going to be much stopping us this year.
For Bailey, there's another incentive, as he's named Captain of Queensland, fulfilling a lifelong dream.
Yeah, I mean, I was crying. You know, when it was named, I kind of put my head in my hands and let a few tears go. And I'm looking at the phone, and Dad just says, "What are you crying for?" Just one of those ones. And I was like, "What do you mean? This is a massive deal for me."
He's now our captain of the state, so it's the family members that also participate in this sport that make it what it is.
Start getting the shakes on a little bit just thinking about it. It's very nerve-wracking. But I know the boys are all behind me and they got my back, so it gives me a lot of confidence.
Definitely. You do it for your mate. You always find a way to win. You definitely have those same emotions. It's still Origin to us.
I've got to be realistic about things. I'm 54 this year, and I'm the oldest player to have ever played wheelchair rugby league for Australia, and I'm in need of a shoulder replacement at some point. So, you know, if I can't get there myself, I'd love to do everything I can on the court to help the other guys get there and be successful in their campaign.
We trust the man inside us, the man outside us, and we do it as a team.
Look, there's definitely respect there from the other side, the New South Wales players. You know, as some of those New South Wales players play in the Australian team with us. But as in any interstate challenge or Origin, once you're on the court, those things get left behind, and it's mate against mate, state against state.
Cross the line onto the field, and I suppose you become a different person. It's like white line fever, I suppose.
So you've got to go after it. You can't just think, we're in front and we got it. Getting into a rhythm now, so they're starting to find their mojo, but their D's been pretty tight. It's been good.
Despite a period in the second half when the Blues bounced back and gained some momentum, it was always heading towards another Queensland victory. There's no doubt New South Wales were closing the gap. But this win away from home would make it 5 straight for the mighty Maroons. Deservedly so, Bailey won Player of the Match, and later in the year would win the same award in the final Test match against England, further cementing his status as one of the best players in the world. Despite battling injuries in the lead-up to Origin, Dan also made the Australian team and was outstanding in the international series, putting himself in the box seat to play in next year's World Cup. Pete was also selected to play for his country against the touring England squad, but announced his retirement from Wheelchair Rugby League at the end of the series. And Jack's chances of making Queensland were boosted, with Pete giving him his purpose-built wheelchair for playing Wheelchair Rugby League.